Welcome back to another weekly review. So I'm just going to be going over through the price action and some of the setups that I saw after the fact that were my model. Starting with the economic calendar, Monday, no news, was very slow, I didn't expect much. And then Tuesday was a no trading day for me because it was CPI. And every other day of the week had red news. I know that for Friday it doesn't show red news on Forex Factory, but there was 10 o'clock and 8:30 news drivers. So if I actually just go on Trading View and use the economic calendar there, you can see the housing stats. Let me turn on that. You can see all the news on Friday, 8:30 and 10 o'clock. That was high impact for the NASDAQ. So you want to be able to remember to check different places or look at their red folder or orange folder sometimes if you know which ones to look out for on Forex Factory. But let's start with Monday. It really wasn't much. One thing is we took out the high and low of Friday, and usually when you do that, you don't really want to. That day and the day after are usually choppy or inefficient, and we didn't really do anything crazy on Monday. We just expanded. The 9:30 in the morning did have decent price action where we traded lower, and we swept some lows, and I could have traded this, but there was no proper sweep. So on the 5-minute chart, we swept this range that left the high of the day, and that's like that was not a traditional breaker setup. So I did not take anything there. There was an entry anyway. And this is the afternoon. Didn't see anything I liked in the afternoon after what I just mentioned. One thing is the afternoon. Every time we expand in the morning, you often see afternoon sessions that are slow like this. So wasn't looking to trade there. And Tuesday kind of left a little bit of a wick, spaced away from the high. So we have some momentum lower now for our chart. Nothing too crazy. We moved sideways a whole lot. So this is sometimes why I don't trade the CPI days. It's not very efficient, as you can see. But there's a couple of things. So the red sweeps are not good sweeps. I explain why. So we have 9:30. It opens up on this candle. We're above the 8:30 open and midnight open. So we're looking for sells above that. And we do end up sweeping here. However, it's not good because the bodies did not sweep. So I'm also looking not just at the wicks, but the bodies at the same time. And I don't see the bodies sweeping anything here. Right? It's just trending lower. Up here, we do sweep the bodies, but it's not, it's leaving these large wicks. And whenever it leaves, and also not just that, but we sweeped a sweep. So the level we sweeped was a high low was the move that formed the bullish breaker on the sweep lower for the range higher, if that made any sense to anybody. But basically, since we swept down here and we have long wicks, I'm not really liking the fact that we swept right up here immediately, because you could still be looking to go long and conflicting models, basically conflicting sides of the market. We do a better sweep over here, and we do have a bit more of a retracement, and then a second entry is provided. We sweep this, run lower, and another short pops up. Same thing in the afternoon. Not the very good sweep though, but we do still sweep nonetheless with the bodies and the wicks, and then it turns into a short. How I set up these trades: I put stop at the low, and then 3RR, first 5-minute short-term high or gap after the 3RR, and then when I get my second entry, I would have either break even or reversed it. But this is why sometimes I have to manage the trade. In this case, if I hadn't managed to trade, it could have been a loss though. I did not take this because I wasn't, just CPI is a no trade day. I'm just journaling these for the future use. Anyways, that's the afternoon trades right here. Same process, same exact thing. Let's go now to Wednesday. This is on Wednesday. Another very weird day. You know, we've closed with this long wick on Tuesday, and then Wednesday lose another long wick higher. So we're very much like sideways right now, gravitating towards like I guess 50% of the week range. But this isn't usually the best price action to be trading in my opinion, for I guess a swing trader throughout the week. But this is the hourly chart. Lots of volatility in the morning. of course. 9:30 drops down. We have a pullback, potential more shorts at 11. Then lunchtime reverses. Afternoon runs the daily high. And on the 5-minute chart, this is what it looks like. So there were no trades until 11 where we've had that sweep on a 5-minute short-term low. We don't have any other sweeps. So we do have, I'm looking at this right now, and we have a sweep. It looks like we have a sweep right here with those two candles that go lower, and then we have a sweep higher. However, my problem with this is the long wicks, and I don't like when there's wicks like this. Then we have a second sweep. I'm not sure why this isn't journaled. Second sweep right here. This is a nice candle. So let's see that 1-minute chart. Yeah, I should have journaled this. I'm going to go back and journal that. But there's a fair value gap right there. Probably the reason I didn't journal it is because it was hard to build a case for a good RR, good risk to reward. If I would to go short right here, my stop would be 50 points. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd have to go short all the way up here and wouldn't get in. So that's probably why. I don't think I would have been able to get in for a long either on this sweep. So yeah, looking at the chart, it's not looking like there would have been an entry anyway. That's why there's no position. But in the afternoon, we have a good trade. A 5-minute sweep here. We do have a sweep earlier right there. And there just isn't an opportunity to short. There's no good fair value gap here. And we have a nice large fair value gap with inverse fair value gaps. Short right there. Stops at the high. 3RR. This, instead of that low, I aim for the fair value gaps right here. Or I could also aim for the 8:30 opening price. 13:30 is what I use for the afternoon, so I could also aim for around 13:30 opening price. But Thursday, this is when it gets good because this is where most of the news drivers came in after PPI. PPI is a pretty important news driver, and then we have really core retail sales, which is core is just funny. I don't know why they, or no, core is core is stupid because core they remove energy and food, which is like what mainly everybody buys. So I don't know why they even advertise core. But yeah, you can see it's much more volatile if you use retail sales. But yeah, that's once that comes out, it's like the big news is out, and I feel like everybody's putting a lot of money into the market at that point. So you do start to see a lot of larger candles, lots more volatility and direction. And we're clearly going higher through here. 9:30 has a nice drop down to some lows and some discount, similar to Monday, how it looked on Monday. Now, there was no trade this day, but instead of using a short-term low, a sweep, I'm using a 2022 model 5-minute fair value gap. So if I see we've taken liquidity and we form a fair value gap off that liquidity, I would look to see if price were to use that as a higher time frame level instead of using a 5-minute sweep to form a breaker. I'm looking to see if we can form that continuation from the liquidity I was grabbed. So this is just something I'm journaling. I'm not saying that I'm not adding this in my model yet. I'm just forward testing it. But same concept as the sweep. Instead of a sweep, we're using a fair value gap. We mitigate it there. First fair value gap right there, 20-point stop, 3RR. I went for some deviations because there's no high to target. It's a pretty good trade there. And then that's kind of it. Nothing in the afternoon. I did trade that afternoon, and it was a mistake. I took 2 losses in this chop. You don't want to trade after these large ranges. Never. Same thing happened on, I think it was Tuesday. I showed on Tuesday how bad price, no, it was Monday, how bad price was in the afternoon. You don't want to trade that. So I was just eager to trade. I knew it going into Thursday that it was a bad idea to trade, that I should just step away and do something else. But then I said, you know what, I might still win, and that excitement got the best of me. And this is I don't know why. This is the first picture. This should be I don't even know why it's there. That shouldn't even be here. This is Friday. It's a 4-hour chart. We had a little bit of a retracement into Thursday, which is normal for Friday. We're overextended and we retracted a little bit into the week. 9 o'clock quickly runs out and takes out the highs and displaces lower and then starts this big move lower. Pretty standard. There was a really, really good trade here, and I did take it. It was this one right here, this short. We took out this 5-minute short-term high. Even though we took out the low, we didn't sweep the low because the bodies closed higher. And so I shorted right here inside of 1 minute for value gap. And I pressed that. I got on the chart at 9:37 down here. So I was almost late to the trade. I was able to spot it and get everything ready right on time to take it. But because I was rushing into things, I started doubting myself and I started second guessing myself. And I really, really messed up because I closed the trade. I saw the price very quickly run through the fair value gap. It didn't like reject it or anything. It just closed above it immediately. And that freaked me out a bit. You see how it does it there? I moved my stop down to the bodies once it left and then came back right to the body to stop me out. I wasn't able quick enough to re-enter over here either. I was very, very disappointed. I was down bad. It's because obviously I didn't get the profit I was looking for here. So obviously I'm going to feel bad about it. But I noticed that I felt like just telling everybody. Like I just felt like telling people about it so they could see that and be like, oh yeah, no, you would have done good. That's what I wanted to hear. And I think I wanted to hear that because for a little bit I was doubting it for myself. I was thinking myself, what if I'm just lucky and like, oh, this is the reality of things. Like I can't always catch these moves and it's never going to come back. It's never going to happen again. But I've seen these trades happen so many times. At this point, it's laughable. And when I realized that, now it just doesn't even feel bad anymore. I don't feel bad about the trade anymore. Like it was an easy. I want to say something about this trade too before I finish the recording. But this morning, it's Saturday, and this morning I caught myself having the urge, and yesterday too, but having the urge to just talk about this trade a lot to just anybody. Tell them what I could have made, should have, would have, whatever, right? And comparing myself a lot to other people that had made money that week, that had found success in what they're doing that week. And for a second, I felt like behind. I had to remind myself this morning that I'm not here to prove anybody differently. I'm not here to prove my skills to anybody. If I know that what I have works and it's going to keep showing up, then I just made a mistake and I need to move on. And I'm going to forget about this mistake once I do move on and once I have more trades that work. And I'm not going to forget about it because I journaled it, but it certainly hasn't been on my mind much anymore because I kind of had to check in with myself and be like, okay, why do I care so much to talk about this? And it's simply because part of me wants to believe that it's never going to happen again. It wants to believe that it just got lucky, and I need to extract as much validation as I can from this trade because it seemed like I would have done something well, but since that didn't happen, then I'm looking for other ways to compensate, But I don't need to. I can just wait for the next trade, and I know that. So I really haven't been feeling too bad about this anymore. It's just in the moment. That's why you need to step away sometimes and let yourself cool down so you don't do anything stupid in the chart.